Hi, and welcome to Empower Together. I'm your host, Desiree Parker, and today I am super excited to have with me my friend Juanice Middleton, the creator of Rhythm and Wine, one of the most fun people I know. So, welcome, Juanice. How are you today?
Hey, wonderful, Miss Parker. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so excited to see you. And I am so excited for you to tell people about Rhythm and Wine and what it is that you do.
Oh my gosh, what do I do? It's a, I create sensory wine tastings. And I say that because I actually do all five senses. So you think about it. You're going to see the wine, you're going to smell the wine, you're going to taste the wine, right?
Mhm.
With rhythm and wine, you actually hear the music that embodies the wine. So I actually pair music to the wine. And it's always what a playlist of what the host decided to put together. Or if it's at an event, then it's about artists from that area. And
Mhm.
then the goal at the end is to really get you to feel the people around you because we make it interactive, we make it fun. You learn that you didn't know that Betty liked white wine or that she can be converted to a red wine or that you didn't know that, this person really does care about you by a statement that they made at your birthday party. We do a little bit of everything and make it personal at our personal wine tastings, but it really is all five senses and it's sensory, which is different than most people are used to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know you've done recently in the last, few months at least, I've seen that you've been doing wine celebrations that pair your wines with like a culture. So you've had like wines of New York,
Yes.
wines of Napa Valley, and stuff like that. So talk a little bit about that because that's a really cool experience.
So, one thing I was getting as I've gone on this journey is that people don't have eight fun wine friends, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, I would love to have you, but there's only two of us that like wine like that, right? So it'd be a waste for everybody else and it'd be a waste of your time. And so I kept thinking, what could I do to bring these people in because they want to have this experience? And I said, ah, let's do different events, wine events, different places, and kind of just find where people don't know where wine is located, right? So I got exposed to New York wines when my son was going to school in New York
Mhm.
and thought they were just phenomenally fun. So I said, hey, let's do New York. And I had to start with Texas because we're in Texas.
Sure.
So,
Of course.
and finding good ones in Texas, not the ones
Yeah.
that you want to throw at somebody, but that you want
Yes.
to drink it.
For real. What?
And I got a
Absolutely.
lot of
Wow.
those from the rodeo.
Oh,
So
that's
I did my
awesome.
research. I did a variety of different things, and I had a friend that was like, "Hey, you can use my space, and let's see how it goes." And they had a blast, and so it just took off from there. So got to New York, and I smuggled some down from Rhode Island in my suitcase because New York has these weird rules on certain wines well, Texas has weird rules on certain wines that you can bring down here. I was like, I gotta get it here somehow, some way. So wrapped it up in towels. I had packed towels to go up
Hmm.
there. Wrapped it up in towels. I did have to bring a child back because yeah, apparently college that's how it works. So
That is how it works. Yes.
yeah, they have to come home.
They have to come home sometimes. Yes.
So it was great to be able to use her suitcase too and bring it down. We had a blast of a time. And the last one I did was Northwest. So we did Washington and Oregon. And
Oh,
that
that's
was
cool.
really fun in a variety of ways. But it was fun because we got to have a wine that was from a master sommelier that there's not very
Mm.
many of those out in the world, like less than 200. And then we had some really funky one with Brad Harrington that just did some really weird stuff on his website. And I was like, we got to try this. But it was the cutest wine label. It was called Slow Jams. It was a Sauvignon Blanc and it had tapes on it. So,
Interesting.
yeah, and so it made it unique because most people think of Sauvignon Blanc, it has to go this way. Well, he actually did it a little bit different, and he made it fun for us to try. And the cool thing about the events is that you're not going in and saying, "Oh, I'm only going to drink Shackleton wines," or "I'm only going to drink this type of wine." I really do research the whole area and find wines that hopefully you can get here,
Mhm.
yet yet it still needs to be something unique about it.
Yeah.
So David Lett, he has the grandfather of Oregon wine, so I brought one of his in and just made it really historical. And I tell the story about the winery. That's the fun part to me because we don't really talk about that, right? We're like more like,
Sure.
oh, the grapes are this and the varietal is this and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, okay, all right, smell, all right, fun. Okay, go. It's more of a
Yeah.
story. Because if you think about it, all of us have a story in what we drink. Even if you drink straight up alcohol with like a margarita or a daiquiri, you have a story on how you got that old fashioned the way that you got that old fashioned, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you looked at
Why it is you.
right, exactly.
Why it is you prefer that.
So I
Yeah.
create those type of events to really just get people to talk. And everybody has to talk at my events. So if you're shy, let me know because I'll tell you, by wine 3, you're gonna speak. What's
There
the
you go.
point of coming if you're not really gonna share? And
Yeah.
that makes it fun for me. It really does. And we get into the music and I'll do like I did a Broadway section where everybody sung all the songs and we just
Oh.
had a blast of a time. And music is unity to me. I have a shirt that says life without music would be flat. And it's the B flat on the music
Yes.
sign symbol. And this lady stopped me in the middle of Chick-fil-A and was like, I love your shirt. And I'm like, this
Yes.
is what life is about. It really is. So I just brought 2 wonderful things together that really accents wine and music in a different way.
That's so awesome. And I love it because so often you think of like a wine event or something like that as something that's formal or, I don't know, stuffy kind of, something that has to be, just, or even just women or something like that. You know what I mean? You think of it as being kind of a, you have a, when you think of like a wine party or something like that, there's a certain image that comes to most people's mind of, cheese trays and wine and I don't know, just something more formal.
Yeah.
And so I love that you make it something accessible, something that people can do in their homes, with their friends, with their husbands, with their, um, you know, I know you pair foods as well a lot of times.
Yes,
You
we
have
had to
people
pair
bring
food.
food. Yes.
Especially, I mean, like New
So tell me a
York,
little
we
bit
had
about that. Yeah.
a blast with all the foods, and
Yeah.
even Northwest. I didn't know tater tots came from the Northwest. Voodoo
I had
Donuts
no
came
idea.
from the Northwest. I didn't know that, and it was so funny. One of the guests that came in, she was like, "I love Voodoo Donuts," and she said, "I remember going," and she just started talking about it. So it gives you nostalgia in a way
Hmm.
for some of these wines. The ladies that came to, and we had one guy at the New York wine tasting, but he held his own, and we were like so proud of him.
It's awesome.
And even at the last one, we had couples that were
Hmm.
that just they opened up. And again, yeah, by the third wine, we do kind of open up a little bit more, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but a lot of that, I think, is because I make it where it's not what I say the wine is supposed to taste
Yeah.
like, or what I'm saying you're supposed to smell, or what you're supposed to do with it, or da 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 da.
Yes.
It really is give it a chance, open your mind, and tell me what you think. One lady,
Yeah.
we had a wine, the last wine tasting, and it was a rosé, and it had a very I didn't have a glass because I was for a variety of reasons, but I hadn't tried the first 2 wines. We got to this
Hmm.
one, and she's like, the way it smells, everybody just stick with me. And so we're all like, okay.
Okay.
She said, you know how when you go to Galveston, and we were all like, mm.
I'm not sure I like where this is going.
And she said when the sand where the seaweed like is on the sand, and she said if you pick it up, there's a smell that comes from that, and we were all like, yeah, that's what stinks. But once you put it in our head, right? I was like, I gotta go get a glass. Hold up, wait up. I come get a glass, and I'm swirling it, and I'm smelling it, and I saw what she was smelling, and it really was
Yeah.
more of like a earthy type thing. And so one lady was like, "Yeah, I can smell more of a sand tone or more of a, like a earth type part to it." The
Mhm.
way you described it scared all of us. But
So, I mean, as a Texan, as a Houstonian who has been to Galveston many times, that does not sound appealing. Like,
so
it's
we're
scaring me to
going to
death.
say, okay, so if this description repels you, you probably are not going to like this wine. It brings you back to when you were a kid and you couldn't see your toes in the water. This
Yes,
might be fun for you.
that's hilarious. Because I automatically, like, that brought me to a smell. Right. Like, ooh,
I was like, wait, what?
what? That is not something I want to think about. Oh, that's hilarious. That is
The wine
hilarious.
tastes great, but it was just like,
You gotta pause on that one. Yeah, gotta
yes,
pause on that one. But that's hilarious. And what a funny, like what a fun moment and funny moment.
it was.
Um,
I mean, the whole
to,
room just cracked up because we all had
oh
been there.
yeah,
Like we
well,
all
of
understood what
course.
she was saying,
We
so
were like,
it
wait
made
a
it great.
minute.
It made it great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I wonder, like, have you always loved wine? Because I know you started this business how long ago?
So I started November of 2019, so right before COVID.
Yes, or right. No, so many of us like went on these journeys like right before COVID, like really just threw a lot of businesses. But you're still here.
I am still
Um,
here,
you
and
are
I've
still here.
evolved like tremendously over the
Oh
years.
yeah.
Um, so I started basically the start of my wine journey was with
Hmm.
a cruise that my grandmother had for her 70th birthday, and we
Okay.
all went. It was a European cruise. We were all there,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
the first 2 nights we had sat by this family. When you're on a cruise and everybody's assigned seating,
Yes.
and it was an Italian family next to us, and it was like 5 generations of people there. And what I had noticed on the first day is that everybody was drinking wine like at noon,
Oh
2,
yes.
3, 4, 5, 12, 2 a.m. And I was like, something's going on with this beverage. I don't understand. And
Right.
so this lady saw us the first 2 days, or like the first 2 meals. I'll say that. And so the next dinner, the grandmother came with a bottle of wine and put it on our table, and she said, "You need vino in your life." And my grandmother, being the matriarch of the table, was like, "No, ma'am, no, ma'am. We're Christian. We don't drink like that." And so I turned to my mother and I said, uh, "We're Catholic. What's she talking about?"
I was gonna say,
Okay.
yes, we do. Yes, we
She's like,
do.
"Don't understand." But she introduced different wines as the cruise went along. And then
Hmm.
I, had a limoncello and I had this and I had that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. So like literally we got off the boat, came back home, and I was like, I want to learn more. So the scientist in me wanted to understand why did I have like 3 cabs and they all taste different? Why did I have,
Hmm.
an Italian wine that was different than the French wine that I was having? I was just curious. So I, like a nut, decided to enroll into a class.
That's not nutty. I am a school person, so I get it.
Some young kids, let's do it. So I enrolled into the International Sommelier Guild for a summer program and had a blast. Learned all kind of stuff and got into a bar. Worked at a wine bar in Sugarland for a while and loved it. My son was going into high school, and
Hmm.
so um, you know that threw all that out the window as far as having a second job.
Sure.
And come forward, a friend of mine was asking me, it's like, your kids are getting older. What do you want to do? Because you always talk about being a grandmother and that you wanted to keep your grandkids with you for like 3 months. And how are you going to do that when you work like 60 hours a week? And I was like, well,
Yes.
can I take FMLA like every year during the same time?
All the time. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I broke a leg every year. And he's like, no, you can't do that. And I said, oh,
Yeah.
okay. He said, what's your passion? And I'm like, there's so many things. So I rattled off a whole bunch of stuff. And he said, what would make sense for you? And wouldn't you want to be an entrepreneur? And I'm like, no. And he said, wait, that's not the answer I thought you were going to say. And I'm like, no, mm-mm, mm-mm. I have met too many miserable entrepreneurs in my life that
Yeah.
that is not what I do. And I love to vacation. So you explain to me how an entrepreneur vacates and still gets paid. I'm there. But I gotta have vacation, right? Because again, the whole reason you're bringing this up to me is because I want to spend time with my grandkids. So I can't have another, an entrepreneurial adventure if I am there just as much as I was at my regular job.
Yes.
So he's like, okay, makes sense. So how do you do that? I'm like, I have no freaking clue. You know what? You have a lot of questions.
And so discovery. It's so annoying with all these questions.
Let's stop. Come on now. So I I said I love music. I've had music in my life since I was a flute player in 6th grade, and I love wine. And he's like, huh, you talk a lot about wine. How would you put that together? I'm like, again, with the freaking questions. What's wrong with you? So I Googled. I literally got on Google and I was like, wine tastings somewhere, and Wine Shop at Home came up. And so I called, talked to the lady, and she was like, you can get started for $59.99. And I was like, hey, and you'd be an independent contractor. I was like, yes. So I called him back and I was like, I want to business. And he was like, whoa, wait, hold up. Oh, what did you do? So I tell him everything. He's like, Lord help her. She does not know what she just got into. And I didn't. I had no clue.
Of course. Yeah.
It was a great journey. It was a great learning experience. The thing that I learned, though, more than anything, because during the shutdown, you really, I think I didn't do a tasting for a while. And when I finally got one, Anita ended up doing, I don't remember Anita, she ended up doing one for me. And she literally had 3 people there. She had invited 8. 3 showed up, and we had a blast of a time. And they gave me feedback, how it was, what was going on. And the one thing she said is, I like the wines. How would you do this if you weren't with Wine Shop at Home? And it just kind of stuck. You kind of take that note card and put it in the back of your head.
Yeah.
And so I kept going with Wine Shop at Home, but that kept popping up for me. And then I had another lady. She's like, I have wine, but I want you to do my wine. And I was like, yes, you have a wine cellar. Let me go in. Let me be excited.
Right?
Let me get excited, right?
Let's get creative, right?
And I did one for her. And I'm like, I'm limiting myself.
Yeah.
I am truly limiting myself with just Wine Shop at Home. Great experience for me to learn, though, and understand what people are looking for. What are they asking about? Yet I felt like I was a used wine salesman at the end, because I gave you this great thing, right? It's like telling you about the shiny car and how beautiful it is. And then finally telling you I need $55,000, all now. My thing was, I need 12 cases for y'all to buy at the end of this wonderful time, right? But you've had this blast of a time. You've enjoyed yourself. Now I need to get paid for it. So if you could buy the $95 bottle of wine, I would appreciate it. And if all y'all would buy 12 cases, that would make my day. And I didn't like that part.
Didn't feel like it. It didn't feel that was good. Yeah. Yeah.
I really struggle with the whole selling thing. It's going from a need-based career to creating a designer. That's a whole nother platform for me. And I struggled with it. I really struggled with it. And my one up, she tried her best to, get me to get there. And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm working it. And I'm, but I walk out with 3 bottles sold.
It's hard. And like you said, going from a need-based, and for people who don't know Juanice, you were a pharmacist by education and career. So like you said, you were a scientist, you were working in a field where your services were not a luxury, and then going into something that is a luxury, more of a luxury and an entertainment and a fun. It's a completely different thing.
Totally different thing. Different thing. And just having, how do you create that desire? How do you create that environment that people are wanting you to come into their homes or come into their companies, or, How are you the expert in this, and what makes you that? And so again, I called back International Sommelier, and I'm like, hey, so I got this about 10 years ago. And that guy's like, so you need to take like 25 more tests to, to be back on the level that you need to be. I was
Oh,
like,
well, thanks.
okay, let's go another avenue. And he's
Yeah,
like, do
of
you
course.
want to work in the field anymore? As far as like being on in a restaurant or whatever. And I was like, I'll never do that. And he said, so if you're really wanting to do education mainly, go to WSET. And so I looked
Mhm.
it up, understood, where it was, called them, and they were like, you're past level one, take level two. I have a feeling that you'll do great with it. And I
Mhm.
did. I took the test. I passed it with distinction or whatever. You made over a 90 and you're like, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I got it. I can do this breakaway. And I
Yeah.
did. So I broke away from Wine Shop at Home and started really looking at wines that people wanted. So if I have red wine lovers that want to just do
Mhm.
red wines, I can do it around the country. And I find very unique wines for them that have great stories behind them. The
Yeah.
lady I had last week, she did not like Malbecs at all. Actually, two or three people did not like Malbecs at all. And the one I gave them, they were amazed by it.
Yeah.
Um, and they were like, I guess I just never found my Malbec. And I was like, you found them now,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yes.
that is like the biggest honor when you have somebody that says, I never thought I could like XYZ. I never
Yes.
thought that this would be something that I could enjoy.
Yeah.
The sweet wine drinkers that are now drinking, drier wines, or even
Mhm.
the drier wines that are finding more of a mid off dry wine that they're enjoying. That just makes me geek out, and I get so excited. Yeah, I get excited. I start dancing to the music like,
Yes. Well, I love that because I mean, it's empowering to people to learn new things for one thing.
really,
So you're teaching people about something that they may have been intimidated by before, quite honestly. Because I know when I started drinking wine, a long time ago, it was, I bought wine that was, relatively cheap, and
we
that I
all did our
chose
Boone's
basically based on
Farms.
the. I
Yeah,
was going to say based on the label. It's like, well, that label looks cute. I'll pick that up. And I really didn't know anything about what I liked or didn't like, and um, if it, and I really didn't branch out much.
hmm
And at one point, no, I did not like Malbecs. But it took some trial and error and some trying something else. And there are a lot of people who don't order one because they don't know what to pick.
exactly.
Um, and so I love that you make it entertaining and fun
And
um, with the education. So yeah,
you
so
read
I
the
think that's
room. I
awesome.
mean, I can do anything from being a professor, right? And do the whole snobby, let's go down the whole education way, and this is the wine, this is how we swirl it, this is how we do da 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 da. But
Yes,
like I'm the one
let's
that's
pinch
like,
the cork and the.
yeah, yeah. I'm the one that's like, okay, how do you swirl a wine? What's the
Mhm.
what's the right etiquette? And everybody's like, hey, it has to go to the right or it has to go to the left. And I turn around and I'm like, it goes wherever your hips move. And so you'll see people like moving their hips in their chair trying to see it. But it breaks that up so that they
Mhm.
they really do see that it's education, because the whole purpose
Mhm.
of why we do it, I explain that. But in the same token, there's not a right or wrong way, right?
Yeah.
There's not a right or wrong way on how you do things. Yes, there's a culture, and if you were going to be a master sommelier, yeah, there's a line you have to write. But when
Yeah.
we're enjoying wine, it really is
Yes.
based off of what we see, what we smell, what we feel when we're doing
Mhm.
that. And what do we
Yeah.
taste? Because everybody's taste buds, even on their tongue scientifically, is different, right?
Yes.
The places are the same, yet the actual how we taste it can be different. And if you have a
Yes.
cold, or if
Oh yeah.
you just had something, the one thing that I think shocks a lot of people at all of my tastings has been, I tell them, don't judge a wine until after the third taste. There's a reason for
Mhm.
that. Sip it the first time. That's everything that you ate in the last hour. So if you chewed that bubble gum or you had that bold blue cheese salad that was all over, that's awesome. That's pretty much
Yeah.
what you're combining it with, right?
Yeah.
The second one, you let it sit in your mouth. And the reason for
Hmm.
that is you're basically coating your tongue and getting it acclimated to what it is. And then on a third sip, it really does let you know if you like it or not.
Okay.
Then I always tell people pairing food can make it taste different. So then we get
Hmm.
into actually pairing something that should accent it more, but it might accent it for some people, yet not for others. And I love
Okay.
that dynamic where you'll have
Hmm.
somebody be like, "Oh yes, this took the tannins away, or this took that feeling that I had in my back of my throat. It took that away." Where other people are like, "It dried it out for me. I would just drink it plain." And it's like
Yeah.
this is that content. So when you go to a business affair and they have the same Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, Pinot
Hmm.
Noir, and it's all something that we don't want to say the name of them.
Yeah.
But you're trying to um, interact with people. It's a great way. Like if I know a Pinot Noir will go really well with the spicy salami, for
Hmm.
me, that's a great pairing. Then I'm gonna go over to the grazing table and make sure I get that. So then I can
Sure.
talk about that as somebody's coming to ask me a question about something else. And I'm like, oh
Hmm.
wait, I see that you have it with this. It's a great conversation piece. It's a great way to just
Yeah.
kind of start a conversation. Um, and that's what I love. I love having that exposure to people. And
Yeah.
then with the cultures, I always have it where it's something that person or that's from that area. So
Very
you get
cool.
to learn something at the same time. Like the
Yeah.
Waldorf salad, I didn't know that was from New York, and so that was
Oh,
cool.
very cool.
Yeah, it's that part. I think that part is my creativity
Yeah.
on the event side. Because I want everybody to open their palate and have the exposure and really enjoy what wine can bring. And wine is social. It's not
Yes.
when you're drinking a whole bottle of wine by yourself in the dark. That's
Yeah.
AA, right?
Yes.
That's a
That
whole
is
different
an
conversation.
issue. That's an
Yes, I had to
issue.
put my
Yes.
other hat on for us to have a conversation about that. This is more like enjoying each other, having fun,
Yes.
having just a time to just kind of let your hair down, enjoy
Yeah.
your husband in different ways. Because like that, every time I've had pairings with pairings, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
it's funny. The men are hilarious to me. And like the women have to catch up to them, right? Because they're just like, hey, yeah, let's drink, let's go. That's my and then you ask them a question, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and you're just rolling on the floor, right? And it just makes it
They can
so.
open real quick.
Yes. And then we play a game or do something really fun that breaks
Hmm.
it breaks that whole "let me be this way," and
Hmm.
by doing that, it really lets everybody have fun.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the events are normally 15 or less.
Hmm.
Because my thing is, I don't. You get to 30 people,
Yeah.
nobody in.
You
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 lose.
can't you
So
lose the intimacy, I
it is
think.
what I've learned is like 15 is a great way. It keeps everybody motivated. Even if you've been to one of my events, you're still excited
Hmm.
about it because
Hmm.
you know the routine. Because I'm pretty much I have learned a little bit more. Like
Of course, we all
yeah.
do as time
Um,
goes by. Yep.
but in the same token, I'm always throwing a curveball to them. So they like that too. Because it's not the same. It's never the same. It really is never.
Hmm. Oh yeah, Juanice will make up a song on the fly, and
Yeah.
just like and bust into a song that you never heard before because she just made it up. So, and it does make it hilarious and fun. So yeah, she got a talent with music, and I
I
love
love
it.
music. I love music.
I know, and it's great, and I love that the music, flows with the wine, and it just makes it really fun. So you've been enjoying doing this now for
I
several
really
years.
have. It really is. And it's fun because, like the first time you do it, it's like majority everybody knows you, right?
Hmm.
And the second one I did, I had like four people who had not, no, I take that lie back. There was out of 17, this is how I knew 15 was my number. Out of 17 people, I think 7 of them did not know me. And
Okay.
for them to say how much fun they had and
That's
that it
awesome.
was great, that tipped it over. And then the last one out of 12, half of them had never done it before. Like a little over
Yeah.
half had not done it before. And for them to be like, this is amazing. This is like so much
Yeah.
fun. And I've done wine tastings, with different wineries, different people. And what you just did was totally different. And I loved every aspect of it. And I've taken pictures of like 4 of the 5 wines because I'm going to go find them tonight type thing. You're
Yeah.
like, yes.
I love it. It sounds like such a great thing for like a company retreat or, team building and stuff like that.
Those are always fun. I've done a couple of them. And it's surprising to me, like, that the owner doesn't know, or like the CEO really, they get to learn their people because I bring in
Yes.
questions that allow them to talk about themselves or talk about
Yes.
their vision or talk about the things that are special to them about their position
Hmm.
or even outside of, right? Because we may
Yeah.
not know that that person loves to ride motorcycles or they like to do this
Yeah.
or do that. So it really makes it a good networking event as
Hmm.
well. Again, my pours are very small. I mean, when I say small, they're like 1.5 ounces. So my goal is not to get you drunk. It really
Yeah.
is. By the end of it, you probably will have like a glass and a half,
Hmm.
maybe 2, depending on how many wines that we have, and that's 5-ounce pours. So
Yeah.
my goal is to get you to acclimate, and then because I am TABC certified, I make sure that you can drive home safely. If not,
Yes.
definitely get a car for you.
Yes, of
So I want to be
course.
responsible in it because, again, I do understand what wine can do for people. So I'm
Yeah.
very diligent with that, and I think that's probably also the pharmacist in me looking at how people are as far as the way they approach this. They approach their whole medications and all that whole process.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Interactions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's so right. Especially in a work setting, we don't know as much as we may think we even do about our teams and our coworkers and our leaders. And I think that's a great opportunity for people to get to know each other a little bit beyond and, maybe create a little trust and a little more, just collaboration. When you know more about people, you're able to be a little more supportive and a little more understanding and um, kind of in friend groups too, quite honestly. It's
yeah.
always nice to learn a little more about the people around you and just, especially
That
while you're
always
having a good
surprises.
time.
That
Yeah.
always surprises me when I've done it, and they're like, "I didn't know you like blah blah blah," or that you did so and so and so and so, and they're like, "Girl, I did the same thing," or "Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Tell me more." And to
Yeah.
give the space for them to have that interaction of that conversation, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting up there like pour, drink, pour, drink.
Yes.
It's like
It's not like
there's a
drunk
rhythm
share.
to it, right?
Yeah.
Because I got the music, I got it timed to make sure that you're enjoying yourself. And I'd say on average it's about 2 hours for most of my
Oh,
tastings, um,
that's awesome.
because we are doing more than just wine.
Yes.
If you're looking for somebody to just do wine pairings like for a dinner, I can do that. Again, I can go as geeked out and professional and snobby as you need me to do. I'll put my hair up, do the whole
Yeah.
nine. Um, Straighten it out, make it look real good. Or, again, having it where we're enjoying the wines and doing things.
Yeah.
And my ideas for events are always fun. Like my
Yes.
next wine tasting that we're doing is a charcuterie class. So it's called Charcuterie
So
Mini
fun.
class
Hey,
and wine
I love
tasting.
it.
So I'm pairing 3 wines to an actual class because I've always asked the question, what's the jam for? Like, what's the jam? Am I supposed to put it on a like?
I
Understand?
mean,
I'm so confused. And then you have like it's always maybe 3 cheeses and like only 1 meat or 2 meats. I'm like, why is that? So she's gonna teach like some of the etiquette with it and some of the processes. Because again,
hey.
I don't get it. And some of the fun things that really should be with a charcuterie, if you really are doing
Hmm.
it for social events, and then I'm just pairing the wines with it and making it even more fun with all the yummy songs that are out there
Awesome.
about food. And yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the
Oh,
next
I love
one that
it.
I'm doing is celebrity wines. So it's all about, because,
Ooh.
there's so many actors and actresses and um, musicians that have wines out
Mm-hmm.
there. Some of them, yum. Some of them,
Not so much.
So,
Hmm.
but you might
Okay.
be curious and like you just don't want to
Yeah.
spend the money for it and like throw all the wine away. This would be a great way to do that. And so then we got all the music for it. And then the fun
Love
part
that.
is wherever they're from, I'm doing I'm doing the food paired to wherever they're from. So if they're from
I love
Tennessee, we
it.
would do something from Tennessee, or if they're from Florida, we do
Yeah.
something from Florida. And
Oh, I
I
love
just think that would
that.
be just a fun way to, because
That
a lot
is
of people was
fun.
just like, really? Is
They
that
want
really
wine?
good? Snoop, come on. It's $6.99. Is
Oh,
that really
I
good?
mean, if Snoop got some quality stuff, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I might trust Snoop with some wine. Um,
There's
he's
some
a
that are
quality,
really
he's a
there's
quality
some
businessman.
right. There's some that are really good. I mean, Charles Woodson does one, and he's a
Hmm.
football player. And Intercept is great. I totally enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's some Charles Smith out in, I think it's either Oregon or out in the Northwest.
Hmm.
Rockstar, right? He created wines, and his are really good. So there are some people that are really doing great pairings. Some people are actually creating the wine themselves, meaning like they got
Yeah.
a vineyard under themselves. Some of them,
Hmm.
they're the name only, right?
White labels. Yeah.
Um, but we'll explore it all and see
Yeah.
how it goes and have fun with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how can people find out more about your events, how they can, book events or just find out more about you and what you're doing?
Well, I got this brand new website. Yeah.
Ooh,
So we revamped our
love
website to
it.
make it more user friendly. And
Hmm.
if you go on it, it'll say book a consultation. And
Hmm.
basically, the reason it says that is because I want to get to know you to really then
Yeah,
tell you what package will match you. Um,
makes
and
sense.
it basically will ask like what date you're looking for, what are you celebrating, or what are you just is it just couples getting together, or it's all the guys that just want a wine tasting and they want to do it in their own house so they don't look like craziness outside with their wives, whatever it is.
Hmm.
I So then I call and we have a conversation about it and then set it up from there. If As
Awesome.
far as the events, there's an events page on there too,
Okay.
that really will show. It shows right now just one. We're getting ready to put the second one. I've been looking for a place to
Okay.
host the next wine tasting, and just keep going to the page. Or you can look me up. I'm on Instagram and
Okay.
Facebook. Yeah, Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook, TikTok. I'm a little late on. Like, don't look at those videos.
It's
They're old.
okay. No
Uh,
worries. So we just look for you at Rhythm and Wine Celebration.
yeah, so Rhythm and Wine will pop up. You'll see my wonderful face with a glass of wine saying
Yay.
cheers. Yeah, and and just bring it in, and you'll see it, or you'll see me. I think one you'll either see like she changes it out, so you might see just the Rhythm and Wine logo on there. But if you see anything that says Rhythm and Wine in Houston, if you Google that,
I'll put
it'll take
I'll
you
put your
straight.
links in the I'll put your links in the notes so people
Yeah,
can find you. But yeah,
or just
awesome.
call me. There's a phone number on there. Just call me,
There
and
you go. Just
if I leave
chat.
a message, please leave a message if I can't get to you. But I would love to talk
Yes,
to you about it because again, wine is fun, and
it is.
it can be anything from, again, if you want an all sweet wine tasting, I can do that. And here's the thing: it's not going to be all Moscato. I'm really going to open your palate to other sweet wines that are out there that makes it fun. If you're all dry, I can do all dry wines. It really is based off of what your imagination is and what you desire. And I love to create it.
I love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being here today, Juanice. I love what you're doing. You are so
You're
fun.
just so awesome. I thank you for that opportunity. This is so
Absolutely.
fun.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you everybody for listening. I'm Desiree Parker, and this has been Empower Together. Bye.